Now on our breaking news unfolding around the world this morning, a multinational prisoner swap involving the U.S. and Russia underway right now. Now, the list of Americans involved has not yet been released. We do know that former U.S. Marine Paul Whelan and Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich have been held in Russian custody. NBC's Josh Lederman joins us from London. Also with us now, former U.S. Ambassador to Russia, Michael McFaul. Still with us here on set with me is NBC's David Rowe. Josh, what do we know at this hour about how this deal came about? Were there clues this was in the works?
There certainly were. And we know the U.S. has been pushing for this for a long time, certainly since Evan Gershkovich was arrested last year. And in the case of Paul Whelan, since his arrest back in 2018, Secretary Blinken had called it a top priority. But those kinds of U.S. efforts really have been complicated by the fact that the U.S.-Russia relationship is in such a bad place. Remember, the U.S. Embassy in Moscow operating essentially with a skeletal staff these days after multiple rounds of tit-for-tat expulsions by the U.S. and Russia of each other's diplomats. And so there haven't been a lot of venues, really, for negotiating something like this on an ongoing basis. And the Kremlin has always maintained, particularly in these espionage cases, that they don't like to even discuss or enact any kind of these prisoner swaps until there is a guilty verdict. They essentially feel that that adds some public credibility to their judicial process. And so the Kremlin had been saying, really for months, that if there were talks taking place, it's better that they be done in private, that anything that was said in public could undermine that. And that makes it ironic that some of the clues that we started to see in the last few weeks that something might be in the works actually came not from the U.S. side, but from the Russian side. It started about 2 weeks ago when the top Russian diplomat, Sergei Lavrov, was in New York at the UN. He disclosed to reporters that there were ongoing contacts between the U.S. and Russian spy services about a potential swap. And then all of a sudden, we saw the hasty conclusion of Evan Gershkovich's trial. He wasn't expected to have another hearing until August. Suddenly, that was moved up a month. And then all of a sudden, a day later, we were in closing arguments and a verdict following shortly thereafter. And given the fact that Russia has always maintained they don't do these swaps until after a guilty verdict, the fact that the court then moved so quickly was one indication that there might be more conversations taking place behind the scenes than even we knew about, and ironically gave some hope to supporters of Evan Gershkovich and his family, given the fact that a guilty verdict was essentially all but guaranteed in a case like this. And the real question was whether after that verdict had taken place, there might be some potential for a swap. Again, we don't know if he part of this deal, but certainly there have been increasing public comments from the Russians in the last several weeks that suggest that some type of discussions behind the scenes related to an exchange of prisoners were underway between the U.S. and Russia, Ana.
Ambassador, what went through your mind when you heard this news this morning?
Well, first, on a very personal level, and if the reporting is true, 3 of my friends, people I know well, are going to be released. And I was thinking of their families and how difficult it has been. And this will be a great day of elation. And I hope it'll be a great day of elation for Evan's family and Paul Whelan's family if the reporting turns out to be true. Second thought are the ones that are not being released. There are other Russians in prison that are not going to get out today. Mark Fogel is a person I know well. He used to teach my kids when I was the U.S. ambassador. It doesn't look like he's going to get out. So I'm thinking of their sadness. And then third, I'm thinking of the incredibly successful diplomacy that if, again, by all accounts, and I've been talking to these people from time to time for weeks and sometimes years, this looks to be the most historic, complicated, consequential trade between the Russians and Americans and our allies in the history of U.S.-Russian and U.S.-Soviet relations. And I've dealt with the Russians. I've negotiated with the Russians. I was part of the negotiations for the swap in 2010. This is an order of magnitude more complex, and I just applaud those diplomats that were involved in this. If it's all true, this is a fantastic achievement for the Biden administration.